It's 1:30. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Senator Albritton? Senator Beasley? Senator Butler? Senator Elliott? Representative England? Representative Garrett? Senator Orr? Representative Pringle? Representative Reynolds? Senator Roberts?
Here.
Representative Witt?
We have a quorum? Yes, sir. That, in case you didn't hear that, Representative Witt was here for his meeting today, and I think that shows clout in multiple forms. Congratulations, Senator. All right, first up, we had 48 submissions. One was rejected for failure to submit proper information, and it'll be back next month. That leaves 47. And we've got a few questions on several of these. We've had colleagues send in questions. So we'll start with ADECA. Page 1.
Good afternoon. Lance Abbott with ADECA's Digital Expansion Division. We actually have two contracts on the agenda today. I'm covering the first one involving CTC Technology and Energy, or Columbia Telecommunications Corporation. We're requesting an amendment and an extension for our broadband consultant that covers costs to complete the requirements of our broadband grants programs for the U.S. Department of Commerce.
Okay, any questions? Thank you very much. ADECA 2, Horn LLP.
Good afternoon, Meg Fiedler with ADECA, and I am covering ADECA's second contract amendment before the committee today, and this one adds funds and extends time on an existing contract with Horn. And this is for the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Program, and this is the housing portion of that program for Hurricanes Sally and Zeta.
Any questions? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Commerce, page 3.
Good afternoon. I'm Hunter Talley with Commerce's Legal Department. We have one contract for you. This is with EDPA to produce a statewide economic development strategic plan in accordance with Governor Ivey's task to Secretary McNair to come up with the economic development statewide strategic plan.
Okay. Help me understand how this is sole source, please, ma'am.
Yeah, EDPA is the only entity that has the contacts, the resources, the divisions within their company that we need to be able to produce this extensive of a plan. They can provide research that Commerce simply can't on its own, and they are the only company that's able to provide the level of research that we need to implement this plan.
Okay, any questions? I've got some I'd love to chat with you later. We're going to hold this, and I'll get with you later on this, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Conservation, top of page 4.
Good afternoon, Chairman Roberts, members of the committee. Juliana Dean with the Department of Conservation. We have two engineering contracts before you today. The first one is an open-end contract with Mills Connolly for electrical and mechanical work.
Any questions?
The second one is a no-cost time extension for us to finish a project at Claude Petit involving their HVAC.
Questions? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Good job. Top of page 5.
Hi, Mandy Spears with the Department of Corrections. We have two contracts today, GMC and JMR plus H. Both are no-cost time extensions on architectural and administrative services.
For ADA stuff.
Correct. Compliance in accordance with the Bragg's order.
Last RFP, December 19, and then awarded January 2020. Thoughts
Correct.
on going forward?
Again, these projects are in the works, and so it would be, we don't want to change directions midstream.
Horses. Gotcha. All right, any questions? Thank you. Hold on.
I know I've said this before, but you know, I've gotten another call from another constituent where their son was beat up because, you know, the gangs are running our prisons and the prison guards are bringing the drugs into the gang members and the cell phones. And I mean, it's just, I mean, these people call me, they're crying their eyes out because they got a videotape of their son who's just been raped or beaten up by the gangs. And the prison guards are the ones bringing the drugs in and the cell phones. I feel sorry for y'all, but please, God, we got to do something to protect these prisoners. I mean, it's insane what's going on in our prison system.
On the 24th of July, Representative Pringle, we will have another public hearing that will address this again. As you remember, we passed legislation this last session in trying to deal with these issues and work very closely with corrections on this. So I'm hopeful that we're making progress here, but that will be here on July 24th. And thanks for bringing that to our attention.
It just, until the federal government lets us block these cell phones, I don't know how you're going to protect the prisoners.
And again, we are making strides in that area, and I would love to discuss with you offline the.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not, it breaks my heart to hear it.
Yes, sir, and ours too. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So thank you.
It does. You'll be able to watch that if you choose on the 24th. And the last one we had was a very rough 2.5 hours. I'll tell you, last December, and we moved up to this summer just to follow up on that. All right.
Good afternoon, committee. My name is Amanda Sanford. I'm with the Department of Early Childhood Education. We have one contract for you today. It is for Teaching Strategies, LLC. This is a new contract that we put out for RFP last fall. It is a 2-year contract that's for up to $8 million. This contract pertains to our statewide assessment tool, which is implemented in every first-class pre-K classroom. It supplies the department with essential data to evaluate student growth and progress in first-class pre-K across all of the early learning domains. It also includes professional development training and resources that assist teachers in making data-driven instructional decisions, as well as family engagement tools that will help parents support their child's learning. And this contract also includes our partnership with the State Department of Education to do the kindergarten readiness assessment.
Any questions? I've got a comment. This was initially rejected just for not being completed correctly. I'll just make the appeal again. It takes our folks a lot of time and effort. Please do it correctly the first time. You're not a frequent flyer, but please, next time.
We'll do that.
At some point, we're going to start holding this to communicate messages, and I would appreciate that very much. Thanks for getting it corrected, Amanda. We're
Thank
grateful.
you.
All right, education, bottom page 6.
Good afternoon, Tina Hammonds for the State Department of Education. We have 4 contracts today. Our first contract is for our child nutrition group, and it is with Copperwing Design. It is all federal funds, and it is the result of an RFP for marketing and advertising for our CNP programs.
We're in a different order. I thought we were bottom on page 6.
Oh.
Eager here. I like that. We'll get there in a minute, though, Amanda. Tina. What am I saying?
Okay, so first
Bottom
is,
page 6.
sorry about that. First is Special Education Solutions. So that is also an RFP, and that is for consulting in order to make sure that we have all of the things that we need as far as training and consultation to comply with the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, also federal funds, and also RFP. There was an issue about being registered with the Secretary of State. This contractor believed that being one individual with an LSC would not have to register. We advised that he needed to. He did not, and then when it was kicked back, we did get him to, so.
Always appreciate that, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, top page 7.
Okay, the next 2 are both with Mohammed Quasi at Tuskegee University. One is all federal and one is all state. We can start with the federal one. So that is the $50,827. And this is part of the grant award for study that was received from the US DOE. And this is going to allow Tuskegee University to provide the lead consultant for a computer science program study for the right types of training to occur in rural Alabama. So this is a study that's a grant program, and we have someone who is a lead investigator for the grant, and then Tuskegee will provide someone that will do the same.
You know my question.
Yes, sir.
Help me on that. This one, of all of the ones we've done recently, seems the most glaring as a logical way that it could have been RFP versus sole source.
Well, I spoke with folks from our CTE program about this one, and apparently, ever since we had the original computer science law passed, we have been doing particular things with particular courses. So the ECS course is going to be kind of like the A+ College Ready. It's an individual course. So all of the PD and training that goes along with that particular course, in order to get teachers certified to provide that course, it has to come through the group that is providing it. And Tuskegee is the only provider for that. Also, it has to have a university partner, and Tuskegee is the only allowable university partner for this particular class. And then the research project through the EIR program is a federal grant. And so the grant was proposed to be able to study computer science classes in rural Alabama. And so this is a particular study that has been funded to use these particular pieces and to look at this particular class.
Any questions? She's always ready would be my point, and we've discussed this in the past. Yes, ma'am.
So then we look at the second one, which is going to be state funds, and it is similar with Tuskegee. And what this is going to do is actually provide the courses and the professional development for the teachers who are going to be involved with the ECS class. This is the only provider in the state selected to deliver the ECS content, requires the K-12 university partnership, and this was started through Governor Kay Ivey's Strong Start, Strong Finish education program and through the original CS law from 19, I believe. And so this is a continuation of that work.
Any questions? Thank you, ma'am. Now. Go get them.
So now we make it back around to the last one,
Top of page 8.
which is the Copper Wing RFP. So that's going to be for our federal programs, and so it's our federal CNP programs with the USDA, and that is for us to be able to advertise that. I do know that you always ask about the opportunity to be able to do this as a consortium, and we've been in contact with finance. We're not ready yet to be able to do any menu purchasing, so we did put the RFP out. It is my understanding that this has been RFP'd. It was RFP'd in 2019 and amended 4 times, and then RFP'd again this year. So this has been a continual RFP for this marketing work.
And this will go to a total of $1 million over 5 years. Am I correct?
I believe that it's $400,000 in federal funds. So that's what I have for the Copper Wing.
That you intend to spend $1 million total on this over the next 5 years.
Over the next, yes, sir. But it depends on how far we go and if we have another option for purchase and if we do extend the contract or not. So what we're looking at right now is just the $400,000, but then we'll have to reevaluate what our options are for media before extending.
Well, we have made some progress. I got a quick update right as I walked in today. So I think within the next 2 weeks, we'll have something to look at involving this with the CPO, and I'm most grateful for the work they're doing to help us with this overall endeavor.
And we've been in contact with them as well,
Great.
and we have also offered to be a test case
There you
for
go.
that.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, any questions?
I've got one, Mr. Chairman, if I
Yes,
can.
sir.
Sorry. So we're advertising our CNP program?
Yes, sir. Basically, to make sure that we have increased awareness, to make sure that people understand meal locations, organizational needs, types of services provided, so that we can make sure that the target community understands that these services are out there. We have the Break for a Plate promotion that will be continued, and it's an opportunity to make sure that we have materials, logo, things to be able to put out there that are familiar, that people can understand this is a pickup location, these are the types of funds and foods that we have available, to make sure that people are utilizing the resources that we have.
Do you know if it's a federal requirement that we conduct this do we do this advertising?
I do not. I can look into that. I would assume that there is some level of promotion either requested or required, or we probably wouldn't be promoting in this way. But I can look into that for you.
I'm just curious. I'm certainly not holding it. I just wanted to ask that question.
Chairman
do know-
Albritton, hold on. This was what we passed at the very end, $12 million, $14 million note. Am I correct? Do you remember? I know it wasn't your budget, it was ETF. It was ETF. Does somebody remember 12, 14? It was one of those numbers. I don't remember exactly. Okay, would that have been included in there, this cost? The advertising included in the funds for this? Or is it a separate line item? I'm just interested.
Well, I believe that this is all federal funding that is going to be, that this program will be from. Now, I know that we do have some upcoming campaigns that have been required through our state funds, like for the kindergarten readiness and all. This would be a part of the program funds that we have. I don't know exactly what the requirement is for them to do this, but I can find out.
Okay. I got you. Okay, yeah.
I believe
So
that it's required,
they
but
go
I just
together.
don't
got
have
it.
that in front of me.
Thank you, Chairman Albritton. Thank you, Tina. Good job. Any questions? Thank you. Environmental management, bottom page 8.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Russell Kelly with Department of Environmental Management. We have one contract this afternoon with the WPI, formerly known as ABC. They provide our standardized examinations for our water and wastewater operators. They provide these exams for over 40 states. There are a few states, the other 10, I guess, they opt out and do their own. There are 4 testing sites in Alabama that we use, the PSI testing sites, one in Mobile, Montgomery, Birmingham, and Huntsville. The applicants make their application to the department. Once we approve those applications, make sure they're complete, we notify WPI. They in turn notify the applicant, and then they schedule an exam. These exams run, I think, $105 for water, $124 for wastewater. We did 722 exams last calendar year for our water operators and 723 examinees on the wastewater side. We were billed for $164,652 last year. So any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
I'm going to ask you to repeat the sites, Mobile, Jefferson.
Yes, sir. Mobile, Montgomery, Birmingham, and Huntsville. And they schedule those exams at the convenience of the operators.
Understand. So, any questions?
It seems like a good opportunity for an entrepreneur, given that this is the only entity that provides the, only provider in the nation of valid exam questions.
Well, they're standardized. One thing that does for us, Senator Elliott, with the 40 states using the standardized exams, it does allow us the reciprocity with those states so they easily transfer. We did this back in the 80s. I know I was there. From a public water standpoint, we used to proctor the exams. It is quite a headache. And then we've moved into all these sociometrics things, and you can get tangled up in a hurry if they're not done properly. So it is, I hate to say the easy way out, but it is a very good process. It works very well for us and the state.
Got it.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Mr. Kelly.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Kelly. Examiners of Public Accounts.
Afternoon, I'm Rachel Riddle. I'm with the Examiners of Public Accounts. I'm here with 3 amendments. They're all the exact same thing, if you'd like me just to explain them en masse.
Any questions? I think we're good. Thank you.
Oh, that was easy.
Finance.
Good afternoon. I'm Taylor Nichols with Department of Finance. We have 2 contracts that are no-cost time extensions for architectural services, one for capital operations and one that is for ongoing facility assessments.
Any questions? Either one? Thank you, Mr. Nichols.
Thank you.
Geological Survey.
Mr. Chairman, Bennett Bearden with the Geological Survey. We have one contract today with Guardian Systems Labs in Leeds, Alabama. This is for the statewide groundwater assessment program. Federal government has graciously agreed to pay for 75% of this, and the reason we have to use an outside lab is they're EPA certified.
Okay. Any questions? Thanks, Ben.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Historical Commission.
Good afternoon. I'm Chad Stinson with the Historical Commission. Before you today, I have an amendment that is a cost and time extension with William Blackstock. This amendment is to help cover the construction oversight that was deemed priority with their safety analysis that they performed in the original contract.
I was just down there last week. What part of it are they doing?
The walkway.
The walkway?
Yes, sir. The covered walkway there, that will be the first construction project that they're going to take on. They consider it to be a safety hazard. So
it's a cool deal down there.
Yes, sir.
Any questions?
No, it's kind of old. They need to do that.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Human Resources.
Jennifer Bush with DHR Legal. We are here on a contract amendment with Conduit State and Local Solutions. It is to add $200,000 to the contract. They provide child support payment processing services.
Questions? Thanks, Jennifer. Landscape Architect Board.
Good afternoon, Senator Roberts, members of the committee. This is for administrative services. I emailed a summary overview of the contract. The RFP was published on January the 22nd. It was awarded March the 12th. And after negotiations, the contract isn't here before you today. There's a 17% increase, the first one in 10 years. No significant issues in the sunset report. There's licensing data, financial data, and then the board members are listed at the bottom of the page.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Warren, you're here presenting your own contract?
I am. The chairman was unable to be here today. But for the other one, I do have a board chair that's present here today.
So you're here presenting your own contract with a 17% increase in it?
Yes, that's correct.
The justification indicates a budget of $95,000.
Correct.
I'm looking at budget histories here, and I'm not seeing anything close to that in the examiner reports, and I'm just wondering why it's jumped so significantly.
The budget or the contract?
Well, we can talk about both, but right now we're talking about the budget. So let's look at receipts, for instance. I'm looking at 2017-18, $47,000, 18-19, $47,525, 19-20, $52,750, 2021, $61,550. Those are license fees, but in your note here under the justification, we now have $95,000 in a budget, and I'm trying to figure out why is that such a significant increase?
The budget has remained the same. That's just the approved allocation annually by the legislature. That doesn't mean that we have $95,000 in expenditures, revenues, or I mean, we have a fund balance of $110,000, but the budget is the budget. We can spend up to, but we don't have the money to spend up to $95,000. That's just the historical budget that's allocated to spend if the funds were available.
I just asked that question because you make a big deal out of the fact that the administrative services contract is 38% of that budget, which is why I asked that question.
Right, exactly.
I guess my point is, it's not what the revenues are going to be.
No, that's correct.
So maybe the correct question would be, what's the administrative services contract as a percentage of actual projected revenues? It's much higher, isn't it?
That would be much higher, yes. The increase, the percentage I quoted is just the difference between the previous contract.
That's just
and
the
current
17%
contract.
increase.
Correct, yes, that's correct. I didn't calculate the other.
Well, I would submit that that it would be a much higher percentage of the total budget if we didn't use this $95,000 number, which is not what the board is bringing in every year.
No, that's just the annual allocation that's approved.
Y'all see what I'm getting at there?
I see. And then we did get some justification, and there are two different contracts referenced here, and yet the same contract number was used, so there seems to be some conflation on numbers, and although covering two different things, you can look at it, but contract numbers were the same. I think it's just transposition maybe there. Okay, any other questions?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman, I will say this. I'm not sure that it's entirely appropriate for somebody who's the recipient of the contract that is being awarded to present before this committee the contract that they've RFP'd themselves and then won and then increased 17% and negotiated the deal and then to come present it to the committee. So I'd like to hold this contract at this time.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
May I respond to that, Senator Roberts?
You may.
That is not normally the process, you know.
It shouldn't be.
And it shouldn't be. But, you know, the next one we have Chairman Perry here to cover that one. This is a 3-member board, so there was not a member available to drive today. I don't like coming up here before you. I don't myself feel that it's right, but, you know, that's not part of something that's been communicated to us appropriately. So, I mean, I will make sure that there is a member of the board here present in the future for these contracts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Medicaid.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Nick Hines, Assistant General Counsel with the Alabama Medicaid Agency. The agency has 3 contracts before you today: a new contract, an amendment to an existing contract, and the renewal of a previously approved contract. The first contract on the agenda is the new contract. It's with Berry, Dunn, McNeil, and Parker. It's an accounting firm that will perform federally required independent audits of the Alabama Medicaid Agency's disproportionate share program, which provides disproportionate share or DSH payments to hospitals.
Any questions on bottom page 13? Okay, sir. 14.
The second contract is with Cognosante LLC. This is an increase to, or an amendment to increase an existing contract. The need for the amendment is more providers than originally anticipated are seeking to join the state's health information exchange, which actually is a good thing. It means you have more providers providing recipient data and information to be shared to help their care throughout the state.
Okay. Any questions? 14. Okay. Top of 15.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. The last contract is with the University of Massachusetts, UMass Medical School. This is a renewal of a previously existing contract. I double-checked the contracts to make sure that what I thought was correct. There is no increase. The cost in the contract was the bid.
Original amount.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
For time extension.
Correct.
Yep.
And they will be managing the agency's legislatively mandated preferred drug list and pharmacy and therapeutic committee and reviews.
Okay. Any questions on that, top of 14? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr.
Appreciate
Chairman.
it. Professional geologist licensure.
Good afternoon. My name is Troy Perry. I'm with the Alabama Board of Licensure for Professional Geologists. We'll rectify this situation since I'm going to actually be here, and I am. So,
Great. We're glad you're here.
yeah, we recommend, the board recommends awarding the contract RFP 99924-364-001 to Smith Warren Management Services Incorporated, Smith Warren. It has amply handled all the board's logistical support needs, and after reviewing the recent submission, appears to be able to continue providing the same level of service at a reduced cost to the state.
Okay. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Perry, thank you so much for being here.
Yes, sir.
To be consistent with the previous comments, I just wanted to ask you some similar questions. Is this an increase over the previous year?
No, there's a decrease, actually.
Okay, very good.
There's a $3,000 decrease.
Well, and that's good, because I was noticing, again, the same thing I brought up with Mr. Warren here. The point in the justification is that this contract is 48% of a $75,000 budget. Again, the question is about revenue from licensing fees, which, you know, going back to 15 and forward to 19, which is the latest data that I have here, shows $43,000, $64,000, then back down to $45,000 in licensing fees and back up to 60. And so, again, if you start using licensing fees as opposed to a budget number, that, I mean, at some point we got to look at revenues, right?
Yeah,
And,
I agree.
and the budgeted number that's being provided to us, which you may not have even seen the justification, is higher than the total amount of the licensing fees. And so I think that percentage of total budget gets pretty misleading pretty quickly.
It's my understanding that $75,000 is the cap.
I understand that. That's
Yeah,
what
yeah, and
Mr. Ward-
that just means we can't go over that amount. It's not, doesn't mean that we're going to actually collect that.
It does, but when we're using that as the justification, as the percentage of the professional services fee, it strikes me as
The
misleading.
cap as a denominator is misleading, I think is.
I understand. Yeah,
So,
that's fine.
so, and I bring that to a point also because this board in particular has had some issues where the expenditures have exceeded the revenues of the board.
That's correct. That's why we raised our fees. And I don't know if that information is provided for you, but
I'm looking at historical data, but that was my question was, how do you feel that y'all are moving forward?
we're moving forward very well. And actually, we're going to have the last time we allowed for continuing education seminars for members, we basically, that stopped in 2019 for various reasons, obviously the pandemic and various financial issues. However, we've increased our fees. The board actually has suspended any kind of travel or anything like that to try to help alleviate that situation. We've done that for the last 2 years. So when people come here that work all day and then come to meet as a board, they actually show up and they don't take any money for doing it. That's how they care about this board. So it's very important that we kind of continue this to keep the professional licensure up to a high standard. We're also we have reciprocity with 3 other states, which is Texas, Mississippi, and Louisiana. So we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to financially secure the situation, which I think we're moving in the right direction.
Good.
We're also encouraging, talking to the universities, the 3 universities that offer geology degrees. We've been reaching out to them. We had one board meeting at the University of Alabama. We've met with classes at the University of Alabama. We also went to Auburn and talked to the advisory committee. The only thing we need to do now is get to South Alabama and talk to those folks down there as well. So we're
someone
working.
graduating with a degree in this, do they come out and would they already be licensed, if you will, or was there tests they sit for? How does that work?
That works. There's a Association of State Boards of Geology that gives a test. We call it ASBOG. And what they do is they basically administer the test. The test is a national test. There are approximately, the last time I looked, I think there's around 34, 35 states that are membered. Alabama is one of those members. So they set a standard, and they have to pass those tests. They get just like engineer. They have a engineer in training, or a GIT is a geologist in training. Then they have to work 5 years under the licensed geologist to be able to get there and take the test again for the licensure. So it's very similar to what an engineer would do.
And it's a tough test if the
It
data.
is a tough test. We've had, it's hard to pass.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of, that's one of the problems is the standard test is pretty hard. And that's why we've been talking to the universities to try to encourage that. So
Gotcha.
So we're working on it. We're working very hard to try to do that. And, Smith Warren's been a big help with that as well.
Well, Mr. Perry, thank you for being here today.
Pass rate of 40% in the last 10 years. Yeah,
You got to really want to look at rocks.
Yeah.
I'll just say that.
No.
So, just to put it simply. But, geologists are very important because of the...
Critical.
Very critical. And I don't know if, y'all don't look old enough as I do, but I remember in Birmingham, I'm from Birmingham, and over by Eastwood Mall, the old apartment building slid off the mountain because some geologist signed off on it. And people could have been killed. They weren't, but fortunately. But
a lot of grace involved with that. I remember that.
Yes,
Yep.
absolutely. All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions?
No, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Transportation.
I think I'm just going to go ahead and stop you.
Okay, go ahead.
I found out at the end of session that not only has ALDOT and the governor's office been conspiring behind my back to kill a bill of mine and not talk to me about it. So when Representative Witt called me today and asked me to carry these contracts because y'all refused to return his phone calls, I gladly obliged, so we're going to carry these contracts over.
Okay. All right. Thank y'all.
Thank you, sir. That's both on page 16, carried over, Representative Pringle. All right, Veterans Affairs, top of 17.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm Kim Justice. I'm Executive Director of the State Veterans Homes for Department of Veterans Affairs. We have two contracts. The first one is a COLA increase for the Colonel Robert O. Howard State Veterans Home Healthcare Contract.
All right, let me find some here. Page 17, top. I'm really more thinking about RFP. This originally RFP in November 21, awarded January 22. Where are we on this?
Are you talking about the second contract? We did a RFP, was that January? This is a current contract. The second one is for the Bill Nichols State Veterans Home, William F. Green State Veterans Home, and the Tut Van State Veterans Home. It was an RFP that will end the end of June. We put it back out for RFP. We had 3 companies participate. It was awarded for a 5-year contract as allowable by law.
Okay, Robert L. Howard State is Pell City,
Okay, Pell
St. Clair
City
County,
is the
right?
first one for the
Right.
COLA increase, the 3.2% COLA increase,
Mm-hmm.
which should, and then the second one is Huntsville, Alexander City, and Bay Minette.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm
That's
trying
fine.
to coordinate. I've got several
Sure.
pages I'm working off here. So this Alex City, Huntsville for these two, correct?
That's for 3 state veterans homes.
WF Green,
450
Bay Minette,
beds.
Baldwin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Real question, quick question if I can, Mr. Chairman. I'm looking at the funding sources and they're varying between the two contracts. Can you tell me why?
Yes. So that is based on, between the first one, it has assisted living.
Got it.
And the others are all skilled. And
Okay.
the federal VA pays different amounts.
Perfectly reasonable. I just, when I see stuff.
We also have different veteran, we have to make the best guess on our veteran population. The VA does pay for our 70 to 100% service-connected veterans a higher rate. And so we had to take based on the best guess for the next 5 years based on the current population. So that can make a little bit of a difference too.
God, that can't be fun. Okay. I understand. Very good. Thank you. That's all the questions I have, Mr. Chairman.
I guess my question. Sorry about that. My question is still germane to HMR. I show was solicited in November 22, awarded, in 21, solicited in 22. So you're saying it was a 5-year solicitation?
The first one, HMR, it was a 5-year contract, yes.
Okay.
It was effective March 1st, 2022, and goes through February 28th, 2027.
Okay.
And the contract allowed for a COLA increase, and our board voted to approve that.
Okay. I had my notes.
Sure.
All right, any questions on this? Thank you.
Thank you.
HMR, the second one, I've got a question.
Finish with that one.
Do we know the RFP date on this second one? I know it's, is it the same timeframe?
No, this was just awarded in May. Well,
I guess the
the
question
RFP
is,
was
how many
voted on.
respondents were there for the RFP on this?
There were 5 that initially showed interest, but 3 actually submitted proposals.
So you had 3
We had
proposals.
3.
Okay, because this is a monster number, as we know.
Yeah, because it's 5 years for 3 homes, it's 450 beds.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, thank you. Okay, youth services. PBS Learning Institute, going once. Okay. We'll hold that or carry it over till next month. Resubmit. Okay, legal. Page 19, Alabama Highway Authority.
Yes, sir. Taylor Nichols again, representing Alabama Highway Authority. This is a, a new contract for Bond and Disclosure Council for the authority's 2022 series bonds.
How's the firm chosen?
This one, we typically RFP these, and in fact, this one was RFP'd in 2022. We did have an issue where some of the work on this this bond issue slacked off. The contract expired. When we had new work that needed to be done, we went with the same counsel. I will say that these aren't required to be RFP'd because they're attorney services, but typically we do that anyway because we think that's the best practice. And we currently have an RFP on the street for another bond authority's work right now.
Okay, so was this chosen? Was this RFP? Help me understand.
The attorney that's doing this work that we're contracting with was chosen by RFP for this bond issue. And that contract from 2022 expired, but since he had already done so much of the work already on this bond issue, we picked it up with him again. That's not typically how we handle most bond issue work, but simply because we were continuing on with the same thing as before, we went with the same counsel.
I'd like to discuss this one later. I've got one of our colleagues wants to discuss this too. So I'll hold this, Taylor, and we'll talk with him.
Understood.
He had heartburn about this one.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question while we're here? This 2022 series bonds, is this a specific project or group of projects to the extent you're aware?
They are a specific set of projects. I'm actually not sure which ones, but.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Well, we already ran Clay off, so I guess I can ask him, but we already ran him off. Okay, well, I'll have a chance to opportunity to ask those questions. Thanks.
We're trying to get a quick answer on that. From you, but we'll work. It'll be next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, AG, top of page 20.
Clay Crenshaw with the AG's office. First contract is with Dr. Elaine Pope, who is a forensic anthropologist. This involves a cold case that our office is handling in Walker County Circuit Court.
Any questions? Good. Next.
Next contract is also an expert witness.
Any questions? Okay.
Thank you. Next one is with John Nyman at Maynard Nexon. He is going to be brought in as an additional counsel on our reapportionment litigation.
No questions there.
And the next contract is
Any
also
questions? Next.
expert witness contract.
Top of page 22.
Yes, sir. That is also in our transgender case. This is an expert witness contract for a medical doctor, plastic surgeon in the Bowe versus Marshall case.
All right. I'm good with all of 22. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Conservation,
Good afternoon again. We have two legal services contracts. The first one is with Stewart Memory to protect the state's rights in a bankruptcy
any
proceeding.
questions? Good there.
And the
I'm
second one
good
is,
on the next one. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
yes, sir. The second one is with Bill Eskridge on an as-needed basis for complex real estate closings.
We're good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Corrections,
Clay Crenshaw, the AG's office again.
let me help you here, Clay. Any questions on 25? 26, good?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
General Board, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Blake Strickland with the Dental Board. This is a legal services contract for general counsel for our agency.
Mr. Chairman, I have one question.
Yes, sir.
So this gentleman used to be y'all's hearing officer, right?
Correct. He was our administrative law judge for several years.
So is your ALJ. Okay, you're not going to continue to use him as ALJ?
No, sir.
Okay, just want to make sure we can wear one hat. We just
Yes,
can't
sir.
wear two.
I
Okay,
had the same question. Very good.
thanks.
We had a little bit of problem on submission of this, just for future, you don't do a lot of these, and I understand, just dot i's, cross t's, and get them right. It requires
sir.
multiple back and forth, so I'd appreciate that. All right, thank you, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Appreciate it. Legislative Services. I have no questions on this. We're good?
Thank you, Committee.
Thank you very much. Public Accountancy Board.
Good afternoon. I'm Nicole Robinson with the Board of Accountancy. We're here to present Peter Delvecchia as an expert witness. Mr. Delvecchia, we use him due to his expert grasp on GAAP standards, national and international accounting standards. He headed up the Professional Ethics Enforcement Committee for the American Institute of CPAs for 20 years and is a national expert.
Great. I hope we get to work on some TCJA things that come from the feds rapidly. We need an answer for that before we get into session next year, and I'm very hopeful that we'll get some movement on the federal level there. Okay, no questions?
Thank you.
Great. Tourism. We had a few challenges on this one. Initial rejection, no E-Verify, and then some confusion on start dates.
Correct.
Let's get it better next time.
Yes, sir. Do you want me to explain what it
Any
is?
questions? I have none. Thank you, sir.
Right. Thank y'all very much.
USS Alabama Battleship Commission. Last but not least,
Mr. Chairman, committee members, we do start with A, so we could go first next time, but we're happy to be here, last but not least.
Alabama USS, and you'll get right there, ma'am.
I don't like the alphabet, it's all good.
General, we'll do better next time.
It's all right. It's good to see you today. This is our request for legal services for the next 2 years. Do you have any questions?
I sure don't.
I don't. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
You're doing a great job. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Really do.
My predecessor said y'all come see us.
Yes.
Brand new teak deck.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's all we have for today. Thank you very much for making time. We'll be back. Please note it won't be the first Thursday. That'll be July the 4th. We'll meet on the 11th. Sorry about that. It's mid-month instead of first Thursday. Thank you. Have a great month.